Hey everyone, we are back with another video. I am Cheryl.
And I'm Jesse.
And today we thought we would share our experience of how we found our first job in Amsterdam before we even moved to Amsterdam. And also a little bit of like some tips for people who might be in the same position trying to look for their first job so that they can move to Amsterdam. But just to give you guys a little bit more context, we're both in our late 20s. We both came from a corporate background, so we had probably like 5 to 6 years of experience in a work environment already, so we weren't necessarily looking for an entry-level job. So this video will probably be more applicable or relatable to people who are looking for similar types of like office/corporate jobs. But without further ado, let's start with our story. All right, so our story actually began probably around 2 years ago.
When we got married.
Yeah, so we got married in 2018, summer of 2018, and then after we got married, we're like, you know what, like before we start a family, obviously that's like the next thing in our minds. It's best if we just like move out, like move to another country, do some traveling before we even start a family. So we're like brainstorming where we wanted to go, and then fast forward March of 2019, last year, we're like, okay, you know what, like if we don't act now, this is never gonna happen. So we need to start actively either doing research of where we're going or actively job searching so that we can afford where we're going to be living next. So we had a couple options. We're not going to get into like where we decide like different choices of where we wanted to move to, but like our first choice was always Amsterdam.
Yeah.
So I guess first things first, we just started like job searching, and like we were both actively kind of looking online, different websites, different companies that were in Amsterdam, that were hiring job positions, or even companies that might hire English-speaking people within our kind of like marketing/product management kind of field. And I'll kind of explain my situation first, because I did do some active job searching for a little while, and then I kind of came to the conclusion that like, you know, after 6 years of being in corporate, I think I wanted to try something new, and like I just always had the dream of like starting a company of my own. So that's kind of where I ended up. Like fast forward now, I do run my own business. So today we're not gonna get into that because we wanted to talk about like looking for a job in Amsterdam. So just so you know why we're not talking about me today, it's because I started my own business, so irrelevant. But then here comes Jesse with his story of like job searching for the next couple of months.
In total, I applied for over 30 companies.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I think I had a total of 18 interviews.
Yeah, I think so.
With about 6 companies. So
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's like 3 to 4 interviews per company, and some are more. Like the actual position you landed, you had like, I can't even count, like
the actual job I landed with here in the Netherlands, I probably had 4
rounds, right?
4 rounds while in Canada using video conferencing.
Yeah.
And then they flew me out in person for an all-day interview for 8 hours with 8 different people.
Yeah, which we'll talk about in a sec. But yeah, how were the interviews?
They were really detail-oriented, and some rounds involved preparing for a case study. The meetings that I had were either 6 a.m. in the morning or 12 a.m. at night because of the time difference between Vancouver and in Amsterdam.
It was so stressful. Like I am like a natural introvert, but also like super high strung anxiety driven. And so like 6 a.m., like having to see Jesse wake up so early, like 5 a.m. in the morning to get like top ready for an interview, and then like stay up until 12 a.m. until a 1 a.m. interview. Sorry, like the interview would start at 12 and it'd be like an hour and a half. So it was really, really, really long days. And that was like 5 months of doing this over and over again, like at least once or twice a week. Like you had a lot of interviews. Oh, another thing is the interview that we actually, like the job that you actually landed with is actually through a recruitment company. And we highly recommend you guys to actually go with a recruitment company because if you don't know anything about it, you don't actually pay anything to work with a recruiter. Usually there's like a recruitment agent that you're working with, and you tell them, kind of do like an interview with them and tell them your experience, your skills and all that stuff. And then they match you with jobs. And then if they see that you're a good fit with them, they will actually like help you meeting whoever you need to meet, whether it be an interview or an informational interview of some sort, to chat with the companies that they think you're a good fit with. And they work hard to get you to land those jobs because they actually get a commission whenever you get placed. So he's kind of like the in-between person who has an insider view of the company that's hiring, but also they want you to win. They want you to land the position. So whatever inside information they can get, they will try to give that information to you so that you can land the job if they like you.
So a lot of things that they do is before interviews, they'll have a call with you to kind of help prepare for your next round, and share some tips. And then after each round, there's a debriefing session to talk about what happened. So it's really helpful to go with a recruiting agency.
Highly recommend. All right. And then, so you land like this interview, you've had 3 interviews now with the company that you are currently working for, and then what happened?
Yeah, so they flew me out to Amsterdam about May of last year in 2019, and it was a really short trip.
And just so you know, he was extremely sick 2 days before he flew, and he was still extremely sick by the point you got there, right?
Yeah, so I landed on a Monday, I remember, late in the afternoon. Had a quick dinner with a friend who works in Amsterdam. So the next morning, get there at 9 a.m. and it starts right at 9 a.m. with the first person. So basically I had a schedule that I followed. From 9 to 5 p.m. was 1 person per hour. I think the morning session was a bit harder. Near the end of it, it got a little bit more relaxing and chill.
That's good.
But I felt really good by 5 p.m. when I left the office.
And the great thing is, like, you've been talking to these people for like 2 months before it already, on phone or on Skype, but like for the first time you're like seeing these people, you're like walking into the office and you're like, oh my gosh, like imagining, like getting that chance to really imagine yourself like as if you're already working here, you know, as you're like opening the door, going to like the office bathroom, you're like, you know, in the space already. So that,
and I remember leaving the office after the interviews in person, and then walking by the train station. And I remember walking by, taking a selfie to remember the day. I actually bike by that area every day now. So it's like cool to see how things become real.
And then we moved, or you came back to Vancouver.
By Wednesday afternoon when I landed back in Vancouver, I got an email back from my now manager saying that we would like to extend an offer to you. The company was really nice. They said, you know what, enjoy the summer in Vancouver, come in August, and then start on September 1st.
Just so you know, we did get, we're on the highly skilled
worker visa program.
So that one luckily includes like your spouse as well, or if you're a common law, I think, or like girlfriend, I think it might also apply.
It covers common law as well.
You just have to ask the company that's sponsoring it. Obviously, they have to pay for that as well. So if they're willing to, always ask that as part of your contract when you're negotiating. We luckily also got our all of the administrative things done for us. So not only are they applying for the visa for us and paying for it, but what other kind of paperwork did we go through? We had
in addition to the job offer, they provided us with both of us the working visa to live and work in the Netherlands. They also covered a month of temporary housing the moment we land in Amsterdam. They also provided our flights to Amsterdam.
Yeah. But that's like a really good perk. But these are just things that we're saying so that you can maybe consider it as negotiations as part of your contract. So maybe sometimes you're worried about like negotiating your income, like your salary, sorry. These are like additional things that you can negotiate on.
Some companies provide a container for you to move and ship your furniture that you currently have in your home.
We didn't get that, but that's something you can also negotiate. So if you're
You can also negotiate extra, let's call it spending money. So let's say $1,000 or $2,000 in cash so that you can spend on furniture when you move to the Amsterdam, because there's a lot of expenses when you move, right? So those are things that you can keep in your back pocket.
And then most importantly is 30% ruling. So this is like the number one perk of moving to Amsterdam the Netherlands as an expat is expats are actually treated really well here, and it's highly sought to hire expats who have these highly skilled positions. So like whether it be, any kind of corporate position is probably considered a highly skilled position. So make sure to look into that to see if your contract includes that. And what we mean by 30% ruling is 30% of your income is actually not taxed, which is a lot because taxes are incredibly high here. So that can really help. Make sure to check when you're applying for a job whether it has 30% ruling, and also to check once you get your contract whether you are applicable for 30% ruling.
The rule of thumb is, in order to qualify for 30% ruling, is you must be hired while you're not physically and living in the Netherlands.
Right. Yeah, so at this point, like, we landed the job, we got the offer, and like having that 2.5 months before we had to move here was so helpful for us, because we just got to enjoy our life. We quit our jobs and like we just hung out in Vancouver, which is beautiful in the summertime, and we were renting in Vancouver at the time, so we were like putting things in boxes, storing them, and then selling stuff and deciding what to bring over to Amsterdam. But it was like a really great moment, like just those 2.5 months. So that kind of concludes our story of like how we landed our job. But we thought we would also share like a couple tips on outside of our experience, on kind of like what we learned and gained from this whole experience. So let's start with tip number 1. When you're a foreign, like from North America like we are, and applying for jobs in the Netherlands, you're probably thinking like, do I need to know Dutch? The answer is no. A lot of I should say for corporate jobs, no. If you're like customer service facing, then absolutely you'll need to know Dutch. But if you're like an office worker, and most of your interactions are by email, there are a ton of international companies that have home offices here in the Netherlands.
To name a couple, just so that you can get an idea. Booking.com, Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, just to name a couple, to give
Disney Plus
to give you some insights that there's a lot of big name companies that are headquartered in Amsterdam. Yeah,
so all of them are mostly going to be English based. So Jesse doesn't even need to know a single word of Dutch in his company. Everybody speaks and works and emails and communicates across Europe in English. So don't be worried or feel like you shouldn't apply just because you don't know the language here.
Tip number 2, use all of your online resources to find job postings. The standard ones are LinkedIn and Indeed, but you can also go beyond that and look on Facebook groups, Slack groups, and also even hitting up your network for maybe people who you may know who already live and work in the Netherlands. So use your resources to the fullest.
And I actually, when we were first applying, we found a list of companies that offer like visas for international workers. So I'll try to look for that list again and include it into the description below, which is super helpful because you can just go through the list and see what all the international companies are. But also, we will also include the link of the recruitment agency. What are they called?
New People.
New People. So they were amazing to work with. So we will include their links as well down below in the description. So tip number 3 is, we kind of talked about this already, but it is probably best you try to land your job before you actually move to the Netherlands. Not only, well, because we are super risk averse, but it's not easy to look for a job once you are in the Netherlands for office jobs, because one, because of the visa, once you're in the Netherlands, you can only stay for 3 months on your vacation stay before you have to move back to your country. And 3 months is like a really short time to like settle down, look for a job, look for a house, all of that. So there is a bit of a risk there. But also the 30% ruling. So you can't get the 30% ruling when you've already moved here. That only applies if you land your job when you're still back wherever you're from. So our recommendation is, if you do want to move here with a corporate job, it's probably best you try to land a position before you move here.
The final tip, be patient. This is not a quick process. I mean, using our example, we started looking for a job in March and we didn't move and start work until August and September. So that's about a 5 or 6 month process. I mean, it could be quicker if you're lucky and you're able to find something sooner, but be patient that it will take some time, because you are making a life decision to leave where you are to move to a different country.
And it's a big gamble for the company that is hiring you as well. They not only have to hire you as an employee, but they're literally helping you move your life all the way from another country to this country here. So, and just so you know, what we learned is it's pretty difficult to let go of an employee here. So by hiring you, they really, really trust in the potential of you staying with the company for a while. So they are really putting a huge investment in you as a person, as a long-term employee with their company. So that's probably why the hiring standards may seem a little bit high. There's so many rounds of interviews, super detailed interview styles. But at the end of the day, it is so worth it. 6 months of hard work really paid off. Now we are here with jobs. We really think that this is all really possible for others. So don't give up. If your goal is to move here with a job in the corporate world, it is totally doable. And we highly encourage everyone to do this. So we hope this video was helpful for all of you. Any kind of resources or websites that we use in this whole process, we're going to link it in the description below. But next time we are doing something very exciting. We are actually going to talk about how we found our first apartment here in Amsterdam. So if you're interested in seeing that process, please subscribe to our channel so that you get a notification. Oh yeah, and ring that notification bell. Apparently that will make sure that you get a notification of our next video. So subscribe and like our video, and we hope you have a lovely rest of your day. All right, see ya. Bye.